SABMiller manufactures, distributes and sells beverages including 200 beer brands.
Exactly, that is correct. And of course, the international brands in the portfolio now include things like Peroni, the Miller Genuine Draft, which is the core product, as well as Miller Lite and another bunch of big sellers in the US market. In Europe, they've got Grolsch, and then here in the local South African and African market more generally, we're talking about Castle, which comes in regular as well as high-octane Castle Light.
Market cap 1.3 trillion rand, PE ratio of 30, dividend yield of 1.91%. And this obviously, we kicked off our conversation in this environment with the AB InBev bid, the deal that has seen this share price rocket.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
So 1.3 trillion rand is $100 billion. That's the price tag that AB InBev is going to have to pay, and that's what's pushed that share price higher, and that's magnificent. What a wonderful outcome for South Africa and for our companies. Remember, a lot of people anxious and angry about the fact that it's a South African hero which is going off the market, but only about 8% of the shareholders were South African subsequent to the internationalization.
So the shareholder register was actually
mainly London.
Mainly, I tried that again, was mainly London.
Indeed, and to be fair, the SABMiller team, if they'd wanted to remain independent, should have bought back that Altria stake, which they basically picked up when they bought Miller from Altria. They didn't. And so now they're in play, and now the deal's going to happen, and the combined entity will be put together. And the promise from the teams doing the deal is that there will be a secondary listing for the resultant entity on our Joburg market.
Do you believe that there will be job losses? A lot has been written in the local press about potential job losses as the two giants are put together.
If there was a significant overlap, I would have thought so, but I really don't think across the board there will be. There may be some head office related job losses and some selected country changes, but I don't think that's really a significant issue.
A lot of people right now are facing the question, what should they do? Should they get out of SABMiller at this point, or do they wait for the deal to go through?
I think it depends on timeframes. If you're a short-term speculator and you've seen a fantastic return because you called it right and you were long this thing, then you might consider exiting and taking those profits. If you're a long-term shareholder, I think you should hold them, because what I think may well happen is that there'll be a special dispensation in the way the transaction is finalized. It'll enable you to switch your SABMiller shares for the combined entity
exposure.
You know, now that you're talking about it, have you seen all of the fun names that people have been coming up with for the new entity?
Throw some at me.
Well, there's a website called popnamer.com where you can go nominate a suggestion and then you can upvote the ones you like. So some of the names people have been coming up with are things like Mega Kegger, which sounds quite nice, don't you think?
Mega kegger, no.
Well, you know, like a keg of beer.
No, I veto that.
Then there's Monopolager, which is kind of nice, don't you think? Because they'll be so big that you'll be able to call them Monopolager. There's even a better one, I thought, which was called Barley Legal. Okay, you know, like barely legal, but barley legal.
On a serious note, surely they would stay with their branding in their respective territories.
And the Brazilians are so cheap, apparently, that they're not even going to pay some PR agency to come up with a new name. So probably they will just do some horrible concatenation of all of their identities, or maybe just call it InBev, the whole thing.
Hot or not?
I like SABMiller even at these levels, because remember, it's trading at, I don't know, something around 818 or 19 or 10 or 20 or something. And the price is going to be at 903, 04, 05 once you get your cash, and then you can convert.
So you are holding your ground on this one?
I would even say that it would be fun for long-term shareholders to rebalance their portfolio, maybe accumulate a few more, have a big-ish position. But remember, you're going to have to wait for up to, I don't know, a year for them to finalize this transaction.
You must regret our move to get out of some of
Well,
SAB.
you know, it was clearly a situation where the risk was more to the downside, because the gains that you would have made could have been significant, but the losses you could have sustained if the deal had fallen away would have been substantial.
So you are happy with selling out
a portion but I think it is perhaps
stake.
A question mark over whether one shouldn't think in a balanced portfolio about accumulating or nibbling a few more.
Hot or not?
Definitely hot. I like it, and I think it's got a great future in the combined entity.